Welcome back to the channel, Sasuga, and what are we going to talk about today? Let's talk about podcasting. I'm big into podcasting. This is probably something that is a part of podcasting, if not podcasting itself. Why would I be big into podcasting? I like hearing people talk about different things, break down different ideas, concepts, how they think, their work processes, their thought processes. How do persons converse? I find that a very interesting topic. And the best way to learn about that topic is to see people actually do that. So that's what podcasting is to me. It's about finding a topic that I'm interested in and then watching people do the art of conversing over that topic. Bringing out the best of each other's thought processes, as I said before. As far as podcast goes, let's talk about one that's made a pretty big impact on the podcasting scene. Not Joe Budden, nothing that's going on with academics. I mean, the Millions podcast sounds pretty nice, but I've only watched the interview with Young Thug, so I couldn't tell you anything else about that. Let's talk about the Trash Taste Anime podcast. This podcast consistently gets 1 million views every week. So they might go in like a Friday evening, Saturday afternoon, and they'll have 1 million views by the time the next episode gets uploaded. So it's a pretty consistent podcast just based on the impression of numbers alone if you don't know what it is. And basically, what it is three guys.
Smash the like button?
Smash the like button?
Their personalities into this 1.5 hour conversation piece that happens every week. So you got Giguk from the Anime Zone, the Giguk channel on YouTube. If you've watched anything on anime YouTube, you know who this guy is, right? He's the one that does all the funny seasonal impressions and seasonal reviews and what to watch for winter 2019 and all of that. Then you have the Anime Man. The guy who runs that channel is named Joey, the Anime Man himself. He's like Australian, Japanese. Basically, his whole thing is somewhat Japanese man reacts to things that are anime related or anime within itself. He does a lot of videos there. I went to this place for 24 hours, or I did this thing with this person. He's pretty much a vlogger now, but he still is in his anime bag. He does those, what are those called? Those videos, like he goes to this place named Akibara and he buys like boxes that are like random loot boxes of anime shit with statues and figurines. He does videos like that, so you probably have an idea of like who this person is. And then you have Connor Sea Dog VA, who's like a Welsh dude. He's straight up Welsh. He's not the mixed one. So he's straight up British, Welsh, does voice acting. Supposedly he got big for Black Butler. He did a lot of cosplays and funny shit regarding that show. And, through his YouTube channel, over the years just being a funny guy on the internet doing funny voices. And I spent $70 on Japanese cosplays. I spent $200 on this place doing this anime related thing. That's the type of videos he makes. He streams on Twitch. Yada yada yada. You got these three guys now, and they're together on this podcast, right? What the fuck do they talk about? I mean, the topics are pretty random. Like, even though it's an anime podcast, they never do talk about anime to the extent that you thought they would. I guess it's because, like, they've talked about anime so much that they don't want to talk about anime as much anymore. And a lot of times in conversation, you just pick up on the fact that they're probably not watching anything out of the scope that you're watching, even though these are the so-called biggest anime YouTubers, or at least two of them are. Because even as much as CWA does anime-related YouTube videos, it's not always in that vein. Like, he did a fucking Pokemon Nuzlocke. That was like an hour long. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, that's some crazy shit to just That's outside of my zone. I'm a gamer. I'm gonna go do this. Like, yeah, I could understand if he did like a playthrough, but like a whole hour-long video of him doing this Nuzlocke that he did over like multiple days, and that's kind of outside the scope of things he's been doing recently because he's been doing stuff like I drank all the teas in this convenience station. So like 100 different teas, 100 different beers, 100 different sakes with me and Chris abroad, or Chris in Japan, or abroad in Japan, whatever that guy's name is. I'm getting stress talked about this cause like, is Connor Sea Dog VA an anime YouTuber? Like, so he's on the so-called biggest anime podcast that probably talks about anime like what 10% of the time. Like, don't get me wrong, they had like anime episodes that were like, here's my 3x3, which is like a dead meme. I don't know, man. Like, Digibro run that shit into the ground. The 3x3 is like the precursor to like tier lists. And they did that shit. So they did. I don't know if they've done like anime tier lists. Everybody's done that for like the past year. But the 3x3 was like the hot shit before tier list. And then they went and did that. My 3x3 of anime. Code Geass. Okay, nobody gives a shit. You know, and fucking Black Butler and some degenerate shit from like 20 years ago. I mean, these guys are all grown fucking adults. So I don't expect them to have like anime as the forefront of their lives. But why is it the biggest anime podcast on YouTube? For what reason? Like, bro, I think they have literally one thumbnail with Deku in it, and where they say like, man, I don't really read Boku no Hero Academia. Like, what? And it's so much of a fucking. It's not an echo chamber. It's like a space that exists within itself. Do I use this term too much? Reality marble. It's like they've built their own ecosystem of where their content feeds back into themselves. These guys just had like a freaking what's it called, an awards show for themselves. They literally start off this stream of the podcast with we're like that Obama meme giving herself the medals. I just think this is a little bit wild. Why don't they talk about anime? Like Gigok brings the anime side. I think this is the part where we are kind of have to like analyze the podcast to an extent and not just fucking rant about it. But Gigok tries to bring the anime content. And Joey is like, yeah, I like that. I watched that. I made a video on that. And CWA is like, I guess I heard about it. It was something that, I didn't really know. And then Joey will just fucking pipe up and like, yeah, I read the manga. And then everything will slowly come back to Joey. Then Gigok and Joey will discuss the anime and CW will be like, sounds interesting. Maybe I should watch that. Like, when I started watching this podcast, because keep in mind, I have watched Kikok and fucking the anime man at different points throughout my life, right? At different points throughout my life. So I was never fully aware of like the Trash Taste podcast, but once it started to pick up steam around like 30 episodes or so, I saw it in my recommended. And you know, as much as I try not to dive in, like not to deep dive into like anime YouTube because of how fucking retarded it is, like I can't help myself. Every 3 4 months I'm checking the fucking seasonal reviews and seasonal premieres, and I'm posting the openings on my personal fucking social medias. So I can't help myself but to go ahead and check upon what these guys are saying, right? I've been watching these guys for however many years. So even if I don't watch a Gig Up video for 2 years, like even if I haven't clicked on the channel, I might watch some bullshit about how Attack on Titan blah blah blah. Even though I don't give a fuck about Attack on Titan, but you get the point. It's a fucking video. I watch it for the content, right? And the same with like the anime man. Like I was subscribed to his channels for a bit. Okay, stop being subscribed. When I was subscribed to his channel, I specifically remember watching the anime Owari no Seraph, and that was just some weird ass shit back then. So you gotta know how long ago I was talking when I was like a consistent subscriber or viewer of this guy's video. So you know how long these guys have been around, considering they could have easily been around for like 5 years before then, right? So I used to watch those videos. So when the Trash Taste podcast became a thing, I was aware of it to an extent. I wasn't aware of it, and of course, they got me with the fucking clips first. Every podcaster is talking about this. Charlemagne the God, Andrew Schultz, fucking Joe Budden, DJ Academics. He left YouTube, went to fucking Viacom, then went to fucking Twitch, and now his Twitch clips are being reposted by guys. And you just have dudes that are raking in like 20,000 views, 40,000 views, just by sitting there with your eyeballs above the fucking clip, like, I wonder what At go say. Nobody gives a fuck what At go say, but that's like a tangent for a whole nother day, okay? So, they got me with the fucking clips, and the fucking clip that got me, I think it was like C Dog VA talking about him reading like the I Shield 21 manga, and how they portrayed black guys in that. I was like, whoa, that's like an interesting perspective. Are these guys actually reading manga? Because I fucking love manga, you know. I'm a big fan of manga. Who doesn't love themselves some manga? Some Shippuden, some Bleach when you were younger. Then you get into the real edgy shit with like Gantz and fucking Chainsaw Man that has just been an explosion on the world. Poosh, fuck. Oh man. So you've had those fucking mangas. I'm like, nobody talks about these mangas in any great capacity. So if these guys are gonna be talking about anime and manga on that level where they're having like a 10-minute clip of them just reacting to one panel, and then the rest of the episode is then talking about the manga, no wonder this shit fucking bangs. No wonder it's a million views every week. I go on this shit, man. I go on this shit, and it's literally, bro. It's literally like this one dude saying stuff like, yeah, I wasn't really big into manga because of like Black Butler shit. This is C Dog VA, and he's saying is like, I gotta get into it now that I'm in Japan. Like, I just started reading this shit, so it sounds like it's like pretty good. I'm like, okay. But like the manga he was reading, I got to understand, like, cause don't get me wrong, he brought the manga to like my forefront, to like my knowledge. So him talking about I Shield 21 and saying that it's like a great manga up there with Slam Dunk and GTO and somewhat Dragon Ball Z. It's like that older era of manga. And he's like, he's going through it and he's seen how much has changed, how the story flow, how the dialogue flows, how they even portray different characters. You know, good shit. But then these niggas had like 3 episodes talking about the supermarkets and stuff, man. Bro, like, okay, that's like good content, I guess, for like a lifestyle vlog stuff, but it's the Trash Taste Anime Podcast. Is it the anime podcast because they reference bullshit every minute about anime without actually discussing it? Like, what the hell, man? Like, come on. They gotta do better. And by do better, I mean like they're getting a new set. They have a lot of interviews. Will any of these things be geared toward it being more anime focused since they're moving to this new studio? And I understand not wanting to be like pinholed by like some algorithm thing where like, okay, now we have like a clear divide in our fan base where we have people that like us for us personality wise, being like lifestyle people, being like vloggers that go do different shit. But what about the audience that likes you for your anime thing? I'm fucking calling it an anime thing, but it's not to deal or put it with lightly. It's just to say that you got like one guy carrying the anime aspect of this shit, and then like Joey who rubs 2 brain cells together and is like, okay, yeah, I read the manga. It's crazy, man. They gotta do better. They gotta do better on that fucking anime manga front. And nobody's saying that you gotta go out there and like do chapter fucking reviews in Boku no Hero Academia. That's like from the furthest thing, I would want this show to go to, but where it's going right now with them doing the circle jerk about the Trash Taste Award show, that was a bit shit. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of the podcast. I wouldn't if I wasn't a fan of the podcast. You couldn't get me to be talking for this shit for like what, 15 minutes right now, ranting about this shit. But it's them having an award show where they literally gave themselves an award for a stream that happened where they were shitting on the Crunchyroll Awards. Like, I don't get it. Everybody shits on the Crunchyroll Awards, right? For like, oh, look at Crunchyroll giving fucking awards when they're a shit streaming service. But then you do an award show and it's to give yourself shitty meme worthy awards like best out of context clips, best hot takes, steak is mid. Who gives a shit? I mean, obviously people give a shit. They had a whole fucking subreddit voting on that shit. So, man, but it's so much of like a fucking piss take is what they're doing. Man, that's how you know I'm a fan of these guys. Some of their lingo. Do I give Connor credit for saying the term piss take? No, I don't. I watch fucking football. That's not real football. Real football. Let's get that in there. That's not a fucking surprise. Anyway, back to this fucking podcast shit. Bro, what are they doing with this podcast? Like, what are they doing? Interviews aside, I don't give a fuck about their interviews. I watch them, I enjoy them. What they do with the interviews, I rate that. They made a specific point on a stream the other day where they said something like no remote interviews because the fact that they get together is something that they want to work towards. So they could have done like a bunch of Corona video call shit, and how all of that would have went already. Of course people would have done that. 2 hours in a video call with like three guys just chatting about whatever you want. They literally start off like three out of every 10 podcasts with some sort of shit joke. So, you don't have to go in there and pretend to be the best thing ever. You just have to go in there and fucking chill. So, the video call thing, it's good that they're not trying to use that as an excuse to just, oh, we interviewed this guy or we had this person on. But interviews aside, just for the content that they're doing, make it more anime focused, man. The interview with the JoJo guy, that was great. That's a great example of what they can do, but and I guess they could have Chris in Japan or abroad in Japan. I get this guy's name wrong every time, man. But abroad in Japan, you can get that guy, bring him in, talk about stuff. These guys gave themselves awards, man. I did not sign up for this shit. That's all I gotta say, man. I'm just a fucking guy, screaming into the internet. Come back next time.